With 0.3 approaching, I have sat down and covered all of the previous released patch notes for you to actually get a speed run through all of the changes. If you have left the game after 0.2 around a week in or so, you have actually missed tons of changes that I'm going to go through in this video. So first and foremost, the 0.2.0e patch has tremendously changed the areas in Act 3. These are going to be now way smaller and are going to require less backtracking in general. On top of that, bleeding now is also possible with damage dealt to energy shields, and deliriums now last 2.5 times longer. Strong boxes on top of that now pause the deliriums on top of that. And very important change in my opinion is that the fast attacking monsters pursue you less often. There has been an interrupt event triggering multiple times every time the monsters were not able to attack you. Hence, it was extremely easy for these monsters to keep chasing you down, which is not going to be the case with the patch that has released back then. On top of that, we have also a reduction in overall monster strength in Act 1. The early wolves, for example, tremendously deal less damage. And on top of that, it's also going to be way easier to revive your minions. Right now, the first minion that dies will have a 7.5 second cooldown triggered, and every other minion that dies, it is going to add less and less to the timer, and the maximum is going to stay at 7.5 seconds. So this is going to make it much easier for you to revive your army of minions. And on top of that, we have 12 additional Artificer's Orbs scattered throughout the campaign on top of all the changes that have been made during 0.2.e. Then, since 0.2.f, we were now able to respec our Ascendancy classes. For this, you need to have 0 talent points to reset or change your Ascendancy class, and you don't actually need to run through the first Trial of the Sekimas or Chaos unspec'd, because Balbala or the Trial Master can now actually unspec your talent points. So you're now going to go throw in the lowest Trial of Sekimas or Trial of the Chaos that you have, run through it real quickly. At the end of the run, unspec your Ascendancy points, and then quickly change your Ascendancy class. Then on top of that, the second Trial of Chaos has the minimum level required reduced from level 60 to level 55, and the third one is now 65 instead of previously 75. Belts above level 30 now have 1 to 2 charm slots, and belts above level 60 are going to roll with an implicit of 1 to 3 charm slots. On top of that, we have new stash tab affinities for fragments, breaches, and expedition. And on top of that, we have the socketables and ritual affinities, but these have also been released as standalone stash tabs. Also with this patch, we have gotten the bookmark menu that allows you, by right-clicking a map, to bookmark with a name or an advice for you in the future, and then you can have up to 16 bookmarks active at a time, which by clicking is going to automatically navigate to the bookmark that you have set, and is going to allow you to navigate the map in a much more efficient way, and lets you come back to certain clusters that you might have prepared in the future. Pinnacle bosses now have unlimited attempts at difficulty 0, and less low tier runes are going to drop at higher levels. Basically, they are going to be culled out of the drop pool as soon as you reach a certain minimum level. On top of that, the capacity of monsters to light stun has been moderately reduced, and is therefore going to cause a much more fluid gameplay. Before, you were very easily overwhelmed with light stuns when there were a lot of melee attacking minions, which is not going to be the case anymore. On top of that, we now have an equipped gems section added to the gem cutting interface for faster leveling up of your equipped spells. As you can see right here, all of the stuff that is equipped is available in just one menu, which is going to make it much easier to level up your stuff if you are using 2 weapon sets, for example. Shrines are now also easier to click on, and some late game monsters had their attack frequency reduced. With patch 0.2.0G, we are now getting up to 20 to 30% more exalted orbs and orbs alike. On top of that, the tier 2 rare items now drop 4 times more often, T3 to T5 items drop a 30% more often, and on top of that, low-level mods have been cut out of the mod pool for these items. This results in not only finding more higher tier items, but also an increase in the general quality of those items. On top of that, T2 and higher magic items now drop 5 times more often and also have the low level mods that are undesirable culled from their drop pool. This means that tiered magic items are now much better for a starting point for crafting or recombination. Except for a few unique bosses at the start of Act 1, all unique monsters will always drop a rare item during the campaign, but you will only get the guaranteed rare item on the first time you kill each boss. In maps, you always get those. Rare monsters possessed by Asmerian wisps now also always drop a rare item, and magic chests have drastically increased item rarity and quantity and also guarantee at least a magic item. They are approximately as rewarding as rare chests were before. Now, on the other hand, rare chests also have drastically increased item rarity and quantity and guarantee at least a rare item. In cruel difficulty, chests get a further plus 50% more item quantity and item rarity and 100% more in endgame, making them very powerful. Strong boxes have increased item quantity and item rarity, guaranteeing a rare item as well as getting further 50% more item quantity and item rarity in cruel and 100% more in endgame. In a Trial of the Sekemas, your regular bronze chests now have the same base balance as rare chests do in the normal difficulty campaign, including guaranteeing a rare item. And silver and gold chests increase item rarity and item quantity by values significantly higher than before. In Trial of Chaos, as you continue to increase the level you play the trial, corrupted rares are phased out from the rewards and rare currency stacks are phased in. Items that drop from monsters in the trial no longer have a chance to be corrupted. During expeditions, the number of expedition artifacts that drop have been doubled, and they also have many more positive changes for the expedition. For Delirium, they have increased the amount of item rarity per depth in Delirium encounters. This increases to approximately 2.5 times to what it was before. The Delirious percentage scaling with waves in Simulacrum has been reduced. Each wave now adds 5% Delirious, previously 10%, up to a maximum of 75% at difficulty 0, which previously was 100%, and 115% at difficulty 4, which was previously 140%. They also reduced the number of corrupted nexuses you need to complete your Atlas passive tree. Each corrupted nexus now grants 5 skill points, allowing you to complete this task much faster. They also increased the visibility of the corrupted nexuses so that you can see them from further away. Breach Splinter drop rates have been increased by 50%, Delirium Splinter drop rates have been increased by 80%, and the chance of finding audiences with the king in Ritual is increased by another 50%. The number of monsters in Trial of Chaos has also been reduced below level 65. In patch 0.2.0H, the new stash tab affinities for Fragments, Breaches, and Expedition have been added. On top of that, the Flask stash tab can now store charms. The bulk move stacks feature from PoE1 is now available in PoE2. For this, you need to control or right-click a stack, and this moves all of the stacks in your inventory to your stash or all of the items that have the same item name from your stash to your inventory. They also have added optional keybinds for quickly allocating multi-choice attribute passive skills on your keyboard and mouse. They also added an unidentified item tier filter option for item filters, which means we can now filter for unidentified tiered items in super late game and completely cull the worse non-tiered items from the map pool. They also added a quick use currency button to strong boxes and monsters imprisoned in essences. These buttons will only be visible though if you have the currency items in your inventory. On top of that, they also significantly buffed the drop rates of greater and perfect jeweler's orbs. On top of that, they have also reduced the required level for level 20 uncut skill and spirit gems to begin dropping. This was the primary reason why they were so infrequently dropping, so you should now see a lot more of them when running the highest tiers of endgame maps. Incredible change is also that they have disabled the greed and corruption shrines, which turned all of your items in gold or corrupted all of them. They have on top of that improved the behavior of breach monsters spawning in narrow and tight areas, and also improved the behavior of how breach monsters spawn, which should drastically improve the minimum experience of the encounters, especially in areas that had tight corridors or hallways. The minimum encounter time of a breach is now 20 seconds, up from 12 seconds, and the rate at which time extends in the encounter now takes into account the monster power of slain breach demons. This means if you kill magic or rare enemies during the breach, it will extend the time more than killing normal monsters. Breach splinters that drop during an encounter are now automatically collected and dropped at your location when the breach concludes. If you're in a party, it will drop multiple stacks that are randomly allocated. You can see a small notification above your character whenever a breach splinter is collected, similar to gold. Rogue Exiles now have a minimap icon once they enter combat and improved lighting on those to make them easier to spot, especially in darker areas. On top of that, the visual effect of the Arbiter of Ash's Flame Corridor skill has their brightness changed, and the timing makes it much more easier to see and quicker to react. Engaging a second Asmerian Wisps while already following one will have the second Asmerian Wisp now follow the same target as the first Wisp. And last but not least, for patch 0.2.1, they have added 22 new endgame runes, 7 new endgame talismans, and 15 new endgame soul cores. Furthermore, they have significantly increased the number of mythic unique items that drop, which should basically mean that the T0 uniques are dropping way more frequently. On top of that, they have changed the uniques item drop calculation to no longer consider an item's class. This will make unique rings and amulets significantly more common. GGG has also reduced the number of common unique items that drop as rarity on areas, increasing, allowing more of the better uniques to drop instead. Now the item modifier tier numbering has been reversed to be similar to Path of Exile 1, so that smaller numbers represent stronger modifiers, with 1 being the best available modifier of that type. We now have access to a refund all passives option in the passive skill tree, but this will only appear if you are able to afford refunding every allocated point. Also, the chance for corrupting a monster trapped in essences to upgrade essences to greater and greater to corrupted has been massively increased. They have also improved the passive skill tree search functionality on mouse and keyboards. After typing within the search field, press enter to have the passive skill tree move around the tree to show you nodes which match to the input in the search field. They have also fixed an issue where volatile plants were dealing a little over double their intended damage. Also, empowering volatile plants modifier on rare monsters has had its damage reduced. Volatile plants and empowering volatile plants now spawn 2 volatiles at once instead of 3. And those volatiles now disappear when the rare monster that spawned them dies. Draven, the Eternal Praetor, melee damage has been reduced slightly, and his projectile cleave has also been reduced in damage. They have drastically increased the variety of endgame maps. Previously, some maps, like Hidden Grotto for example, spawned way more frequently than others. Now each map type should spawn approximately as frequently as any other. GGG has also lessened the restrictions on which packs of monsters could appear in different Atlas biomes. This will result in a significant increase to the variety of monsters appearing in endgame maps. The few monster pack types that were available in all biomes were appearing significantly more frequently than they should have, making endgame combat much less interesting than it should have been. The distance that you can see features in the Atlas Fog of War is now based on the distance to the nearest revealed map, making this much more consistent. This means you no longer have to frequently check an unknown distance in the fog when searching for citadels. This did make citadels slightly harder to find, so we increased the spawn rate of them also. Cities on Atlas now mostly spawn in loose clusters of 3, with one of each city type per cluster. Endgame waste zone modifiers that applied curses to the area now instead periodically cast the respective curse on ground targeted areas, the same as the player casted skill. So this means you don't have a global effect on the maps anymore, and now you can actually dodge the curses, and these have now a much lower impact on your general gameplay flow. Rogue Exiles in endgame areas have a much higher chance to spawn with unique items, and breach rings dropped from clasped hands in the Twisted Domain are now always rare. Monsters in the Twisted Domain are now way more rewarding, and the base radius of explosives in logbooks has been increased by 25%. Regular map expedition encounters are unchanged. Additional logbook content such as hidden caves are now guaranteed at all levels. The Frigid Bluffs Expedition logbook area now spawns unique monsters encased in ice. These monsters can be broken out with explosives. GGG has also added 9 new unique items. Most of them are aimed at providing endgame chase uniques for a variety of builds. And on top of that, they have also increased the overall power of several existing endgame uniques, such as Headhunter, Hammer of Faith, Guiding Palm, Mjolnir, Spire of Ire, Chaos Heart, Prism Guardian, Defiance of Destiny, Yoke of Suffering, and Bringer of Rain. With 0.3 being very close to release, I'm going to be live on Twitch, theory crafting my league starter, going through the patch notes and everything coming up with 0.3. Also, I'm going to be at Gamescom on Wednesday, the 20th of August, and I'm gonna have a 1v1 with Vudijo in the PoE2 boss rush event at the PoE2 stand at GGG at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if you see me or you want to see who's going to win, feel free to join us there. If you see me running around and you want to take a pic or want to say hello, I would be ecstatic to do so. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.